Article 6. Sleep after stroke. The quiet multiplier of recovery. Article summary. This article reframes sleep as one of the most critical yet underutilized drivers of stroke recovery. Rather than being passive rest, sleep is positioned as an active neurological process that amplifies the effectiveness of rehabilitation, learning, and daily function. It reinforces a core principle of the Rewired Runner approach. Sleep does not replace recovery work. It multiplies the results of it. About the author, Mark Ford is a stroke survivor who turned ultramarathon runner and is the founder of Rewired Runner. He helps survivors rebuild belief, energy, and purpose through movement. Read by a text-to-speech AI. Important safety. Note, this article shares lived experience supported by research, but it is not medical advice. Stroke recovery and mental health responses vary widely. If you're experiencing persistent low mood, panic, trauma symptoms, or thoughts of self-harm, please reach out to a qualified clinician or crisis support in your country. Introduction. Lying in the dark after a stroke can feel like a fight you never trained for. I was exhausted, but the moment I lay down, my system switched on racing thoughts, tiny muscle jerks, a nervous system that wouldn't let go. Some nights I stared at the ceiling until 3 a.m. Mornings gave me my best speech, but by late afternoon, clarity slipped, and words felt heavier. People told me sleep was when the brain repairs. No one told me what to do when sleep itself was broken. There's a hard truth about sleep I learned early. It's one of the few things where the harder you try, the less it happens. In rehab, I kept hearing, "Mark, try and sleep. This is where your recovery happens." So, I tried as if my life depended on it. That effort kept me wide awake. In the first couple of weeks, because I couldn't sleep, I was given a sleeping pill once in the hope I'd finally get a good night. Instead, I stayed awake till the early hours, then drifted off just before sunrise, and felt absolutely groggy the next day until it wore off. That was the only time I tried it in the hospital. It taught me a crucial lesson. Effort fuels arousal, and arousal blocks sleep. The fix wasn't to try harder. It was to build the right conditions and then allow sleep to arrive. Sleep isn't passive rest. It's overnight construction for the brain you're rebuilding. When I started protecting the night, the same minutes of rehab and training brought me more progress the next day. This isn't about perfection. It's about building enough good enough nights, so tomorrow's work counts for more. Section 1. What sleep actually does for a healing brain. Locks in learning, memory, and motor maps. During deep NREM sleep, the brain replays patterns you practiced, speech drills, balance work, gait cues, and strengthens those connections. REM sleep then integrates them with older maps so you can use them under pressure. Lived translation, clearer words in the morning, smoother arm swing, steadier foot placement. Clears the noise. Glymphatic wash. Deep sleep opens the brain's glymphatic system, flushing metabolic byproducts that accumulate during effort. Translation. Less fog, better signal, more learning tomorrow. Resets emotion and attention, prefrontal control. Adequate sleep rebalances the amygdala. Prefrontal loop, improving patience, judgment, and focus. Translation. Fewer energy crashes from small frustrations. Therapy reps feel more doable. Sets chemistry for repair, hormones and energy. Nighttime coordinates growth hormone, tissue repair, insulin, blood sugar control, and the daily cortisol rhythm. Translation. Steadier fueling. Fewer wired, tired nights. More predictable training. Tunes immunity and inflammation. Sleep supports immune regulation and reduces inflammatory headwinds that make recovery feel heavier. Bottom line, if recovery is the job, sleep is the multiplier. The same minutes of rehab tomorrow deliver more return after a solid night than after a fractured one. Section 2. Why my sleep broke after stroke and what was really going on. The nights no one sees. In early rehab, I'd lie down empty, but my brain stayed on. Micro twitches, hot mind, cold hands. I used to fear nighttime and the thoughts I knew would arrive. Daytime was packed with rehab and tasks. Night was the scariest part. The hardest part was getting to sleep. Lights out meant sitting with myself. The uncertainty, the what-ifs, the quiet fear of what might happen. I'd lie in bed, hyper-aware of every sensation, pulse, tingling, twitching, asking myself, is there another stroke coming? I had stretches where leg movements spiked at night. Heavy training days sometimes left me wired tired, sleepy, but still switched on. The effort paradox lived. In the hospital, I was urged to try and sleep because that's where recovery happens. I tried hard, counting minutes, bargaining with the clock, willing myself to drift off. The more I tried, the more awake I became. In those first weeks, I was given a sleeping pill once to help. Instead, I stayed awake until early morning, finally nodded off near sunrise, and felt groggy the next day until it wore off. I didn't use it again there. That wasn't a flaw. It was physiology. Trying increases cognitive effort and bodily arousal, teaching the brain that bed equals performance test. The hinge wasn't an effort. It was allowance. Build conditions, then step out of the way. What was actually going on? The map, not blame. Lighter sleep architecture after stroke with more awakenings. Autonomic hyperarousal, the alert system running hot even when I was exhausted. Trauma/uncertainty surge at bedtime, and hypervigilance to body sensations when the lights go out. Possible breathing and temperature cues, too warm, are breaking continuity. Conditioned arousal. After several bad nights, my brain learned bed equals awake and worried. That's learned, and it can be unlearned. Rhythm breakers, small frictions, big effects. Inconsistent wake time, little morning light, late intense training, long/late naps. Heavy late meals, bright evenings, scrolling in bed. Alcohol sedates, but often fragments sleep, especially later in the night. A quick self-audit. Pick your top 2 culprits. I wake with dry mouth, snoring, or gasp, then possible apnea. My wake time shifts by 1 to 2 hours across the week. I get little outside morning light. I nap greater than 30 minutes or after 3 p.m. Evenings are bright/hot, or I scroll in bed. Trauma/worry surge or hyperawareness of body sensations at lights out keeps me alert. I try hard to sleep and clock watch. This isn't a personal failing, it's a map. Naming the lights out trauma/uncertainty flood and the hyper-awareness of every sensation, then replacing effort with allowance, was the shift that finally moved the slope for me. Section 3. Building sleep momentum, not perfection. Rule 0. Allow, don't chase. My day is done. I've got 8 hours in bed. Sleep may come or not either way. My brain is getting recovery time. That 8-hour permission window breaks the performance test and lowers arousal. The 2 anchors, fixed wake time plus morning light. Every day plus or minus 30 minutes. Outside soon after waking. Retrain bed equals rest with the approximately 20-minute rule and no clock checks. Remove friction. Evening dim and cool, last caffeine, 8 to 10 hours pre-bed. Short/early naps. Mind unload, top 3 plus 1 action. Keep alcohol away from bedtime. Optional small carb-leaning snack, 60 to 90 minutes pre-bed if wired tired. 10-minute downshift. Slow breathing to body scan to cognitive shuffle. 3 a.m. protocol. Don't clock check. Get up in low light if needed. Quiet reset. Return when drowsy. How I knew it was working. Averages improved. Faster onset. Fewer full awakenings. Quicker resettles. Better morning speech. Smaller late-day dips. Training recovered better. Section 4. Protect the night, multiply the day. I've had nights when I wanted to throw the clock through the wall. I've had mornings where words were heavy, and I wondered if they'd ever feel light again. Sleep didn't fix everything, but it raised the floor I stood on. Hold the morning anchor. Dim and cool the evening. Keep a bed for rest. Give yourself the 8-hour permission window. Allow, don't chase. Recovery isn't magic, it's momentum, and sleep is the quiet multiplier that lets tomorrow's work count for more. Medical and references. Full medical, legal, and conflict disclaimers are contained in the written article, as are scientific references to support and scientific statements made.